Today I have a mouth-watering treat lined up for you, a slow roasted leg of lamb that's going to be the centerpiece of your family dinner table, which takes very little effort to make. And before we get going, first things first, oven on, 250 degrees Celsius, and that's about 480 degrees Fahrenheit. Now next we need the star ingredient, and that is a beautiful leg of lamb which I've picked up from the butcher's, and I've taken this out of the fridge about an hour ago to take the chill off it. Now it's time to infuse this lamb with flavors, and I'm just going to start by scoring the meat, not too deeply. And then I'll just hit it with some oil, and today I'm using avocado oil. You can use olive oil if that's what you prefer. And I'll just get that oil in all the nooks and crannies. Just a tad bit more on the other side. Ensure you massage that oil onto the meat. It's just a quick wash of hands. And next, season with a generous amount of salt and pepper on both sides. And next I'm gonna get some ground cinnamon onto the meat, around 1 teaspoon on each side. And that cinnamon has a fragrant aroma and a sweet flavor. And now I'll sprinkle a good amount of dried oregano on both sides of the meat. And finally, a few bulbs of garlic and a few sprigs of rosemary, which are wonderful flavors that naturally go really well with the lamb. So with the garlic, I'll just give them a crush to take the skin off. And depending on the size, I may need to cut them in half. So I've just sliced a couple of the big ones, and I'll just simply get these onto that meat. And as this cooks through in the oven, that garlic will just melt into the flesh of the lamb. And next I'll just scatter a few sprigs of rosemary onto that lamb. So next, a roasting tray, and I will just get a whole head of garlic into there, as well as a few sprigs of rosemary. And I'll just simply lay that lamb on top of the garlic and rosemary. Next, I'm just going to get some of that stock, and I'll just go in with around 100 milliliter. And also 100 milliliter of plain water. And that liquid in there is simply going to steam that piece of meat as it cooks through in the oven. Next, before I slide it in there, I'm just gonna get a parchment paper on top of the lamb, and this parchment paper is just going to ensure that this meat remains nice and juicy and succulent. Then just a few layers of foil, and making sure that foil is wrapped around nice and tight. And that oven has been preheating to 250 degrees Celsius, and as soon as I put this in there, I'll just drop the temperature down to 140 degrees Celsius, fan assisted, and let this piece of lamb roast really low and slow for about 4 hours. After hours of anticipation, now finally this roasted leg of lamb is out of the oven, and look at that golden crust. The smell in this kitchen is absolutely heavenly. Now it's time to let this leg of lamb rest, which also allows all those meat fibers to tenderize, and we'll have a nicer and juicier end product. So So I've just covered that with a bit of tin foil, and I'm just gonna let this rest for about 20 minutes, and in the meantime we can get on with making a nice gravy. So that tray with all the roasting juices, I'm just going to remove all the garlic and the rosemary from it. Then I'll just gently tilt this and remove all the excess fat from the top. Now this could be a time-consuming task, but really you want to take your time with it. And once you are happy you've removed all the fat from it, you are going to be left with the roasting juices and the sediments at the bottom of the tray. So a saucepan onto the stove, and I'm just simply going to run this through a sieve and onto that saucepan. Next I'm adding a tablespoon of plain flour onto there, and I'll start mixing this up, and that simply will be the base roux which gives the body and the thickness to our sauce. Next, chicken stock, just under half a pint, and I'll just splash in a tiny glug of red wine and let the flour and the alcohol from the wine to cook out. So I'll just leave that for a few minutes for it to reduce a bit, but I won't let it sit there for too long as it could stick. And once the alcohol and the flour is all cooked out, I'm just gonna run it through a sieve, and that's our gravy done. And for the final touch, I'm serving this beautifully roasted leg of lamb with some honey glazed carrots and roasted potatoes on a serving board, family style. And there we have it, my show-stopping, slow roasted leg of lamb, which is going to steal the show at your next family dinner party. Now I really hope that you enjoyed this recipe as much as I loved making it. Do give this a try for yourself, come back and let me know what you think of it, share it with your friends and family, and I guess that's been it for this one. I'll be seeing you in the next one really soon. Until then, look after yourselves, and remember, the secret ingredient is love. I'm gonna have to give this a try myself, just purely for quality assurances.